गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गणेश शॉट। गणेश शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Today I'm going to talk of India and US and the troubled partnership which we are in. Well, just think back when Mr. Modi went to USA, met Mr. Trump. There was a lot of euphoria about this relationship, but today it's in a different story altogether. You go back some time back, when Mr. Modi went to USA, addressed a joint session of the Congress, and he was treated like royalty in USA by the Biden administration. And soon after that, again we had an issue. And this is a flip flop which keeps going on, in the history of India-US relationship, and it is largely rooted in the very history of our equation. When very few people understand that till the turn of the century, we were in opposite camps. We didn't agree with whatever US said. It was only after that we started saying, okay, let's start looking at this relationship in a different manner. So it's only 25 years since this relationship has started. We are vastly different countries, large population, democracy, all that is fine. But we are vastly different countries. For us to have a great equation, without trouble is, I think, utopian. But having said that, the relationship is very important both for us and for the USA. So it is in this context that I thought, let me put this relationship across to you in its many dimensions. There are many dimensions and facets to this relationship. And that is something which we need to understand, right? And hence, today what I'm going to put across to you is one issue. It's probably statistical in nature. I don't give you any opinion. I don't define anything. And I also, you know, uh, going to do a different kind of a program with Brigadier Arun Saigal tomorrow. I'm seeing if today evening we can talk on P Gurus with General Dushan Singh and Rajiv Narayanan on this thing. How do you see, so that you get 3 or 4 different perspectives of this relationship, and then probably understand where this whole story is going, right? And now I'm going to give you something very interesting which I came across. This is not a perspective. This is not my perspective. I'm just going to give you perspectives of the people of India, or at least that's the way it is claimed, right? And we'll get a sense of what the story is, because largely we need to understand whatever you and I emote is the country behind that emotion, or it has a different thing. Okay, this is very interesting. You know, uh, I came across a Pew research. This is, sometime back. I did come 8-10 days back, and we spoke of democracies and all that in the graphs which it showed and all. I'm going to do something similar because Pew has come out with a article which says, look, people in many countries consider the US as an important ally, and others see it as a top threat. So it's an ally and a threat to many countries. And this came out just about 5-6 days back, and they did this survey in India also, and amongst all countries. So it's interesting. I found it very interesting to see where India fitted in that paradigm, in the international paradigm of how people see US as a threat or ally, or both. Both. The they've touched on both. So let's see. This is what our people have felt. We'll see that, and then of course in the coming days, within the next 3 4 days, we'll see the ramifications of that. We'll see various hues of this whole relationship. Okay, this is the interesting part. Now, this is the thing which says, look, where US is considered the most important ally and where it's considered a greatest threat. So what they have done, they've shown US, these countries are those countries where US is an ally, as a top ally. Okay. And these are the countries which come next as a top ally and a threat. And where US is a threat, very interesting. And US is not a top ally or not a top threat. So broadly, if you see, India falls in the first category where most of us feel that India is US is a top ally. Just think, 30%, sorry, 35% of the nation, Indians, feel that US is a top ally. And it's only just about 2% who feel it's the greatest threat. That's very interesting, isn't it? And if you see here on the right, you see most of the countries here who feel it's not a threat or an ally are basically from EU. They might have other issues, but fundamentally they don't have extreme issues regarding USA. They understand that one of these days they have to get back to USA and they're going to talk with USA. That's something very nice. I mean, I won't say nice, very significant. Those countries who see as a top threat are surprising. It is Spain, South Africa, and Indonesia feel that US is their top threat. Top threat and ally, then you can look at it. It's largely American countries, American continent, Canada, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, and the outlier in this is Kenya. How Kenya sees it as a top threat and an ally, one doesn't understand. How Kenya gets threatened by US, one doesn't know. And of course, this is it. But to me, it was very significant that there are 35% of our people feel that US is our top ally. That was a eye opener. And if that is true, and only 2% feel it's a threat, notwithstanding whatever you say. And look, Pew, whether you like it or not, gives fairly good, stable results based on, you know, some reality. I wouldn't say fully. It's still an American institution. It will give you American views, and it sells its own narrative through its numbers. But largely, Pew is it gives you uh, some feedback. Okay, take it for what it's worth. But that's the point. Hardly anyone sees it as a threat. Which is the people? Look at the threat part. Israel feels only 1% of Israel feel US as a threat. Poland, India, and Hungary. I mean, a country like India feels US is not a threat. People. We are talking of people. Okay, this is it. That's what I was trying to put across. Okay. Who do people consider their most important ally? Again, which are the countries which feel, this is the most important ally? Where does India stand? Look at it here. US is the top ally. So all these countries on the top feel US is the top ally. And in that, India is there again. And which is the next top ally we feel? Russia. So for us, the US Russia relationship is very important. And the problem is that the Russia US relationship, per se, between the two is conflicted. So, how do you balance this? And this is important for us because 35 plus 19 is about 55%. Maybe others don't have a view and all that, but it'll come out, right? Again, you get bracketed by which are the countries you get bracketed where we consider US as a top ally. You might believe this or not, that's a different story. But this is it. Okay. Which are the countries which feel US is not their top ally? It is South Africa, Germany, Indonesia, France, all these people. Okay. Right. Which are the countries? You see, again, here when you look at the European countries, their top allies are the other European countries. So there's a lot of bonding between Europe. So people in Europe feel their best allies are other Europeans and not USA, right? Whereas these countries feel that USA is their best ally, and the best is, of course, right. And very funny, China, I mean, Brazil. Brazil feels it's their top ally, and China is also their top ally. So Brazil is playing between, China and USA, right? And for us, that dilemma is between India and Russia. I mean, look at it. We can manage the US Russia relationship better. Look at countries like Brazil, which feel that China is their next top ally, or for that matter, Argentina. They have to, they have a bigger problem to navigate. But that's not my problem. That is Brazil's problem and Argentina's problem. But look at it from my point of view. Okay, these are the list of countries which came out, which says US, China, and Russia are seen as the top threats across multiple countries. Many. Okay. Where does India stand? India stands where, you know, neither US nor Russia are our top threats. In fact, there are no threats. Only 1% to 2% say, US and Russia are threats. Our top threats, very correctly, people say that which are the top threats for us? China and Pakistan. And very interestingly, it is Pakistan which is the top threat. I mean, our country, the majority feel that Pakistan is the top threat and China is not. It defies our own calculations that we say that, look, you know, China is our biggest threat, long term threat. But people on ground feel Pakistan is the threat. So, are we going wrong somewhere or are people not convinced? Like, for example, SKJ, he says USA is India's greatest threat. The people of India don't agree with this. People of India don't agree with this. So, is there a reason for us to recalibrate our thinking? Okay. And then across the region where US is seen as the most important ally. Okay. What does it say? India, 35% feels it is the most important ally. 19% of Indians say Russia, which is consistent with whatever we said. And 9% say Japan. So there's a reason for us. Really speaking, if these are the most important allies, we need to increase our focus. It tells us something on USA, Russia, and Japan. How do you do it? That's the point, right? And we need to understand this part of the story well, right? And if you see, there are countries which feel China is their most important neighbor. For example, Indonesia. And we want to build our equations with China. He says China is their most important neighbor. You don't figure anywhere there. So, how do you deal with a country like that? And from that point of view, this is very important. South Africa. South Africa feels China is their most important ally. And you want to develop good equations with South Africa. It's not there. The only good equation you have with South Africa is cricket. Okay. So that is the issue. Is there a case for us where there are so many countries which feel that USA is their most important neighbor or ally? Is there a case for us to smoothen our relations with USA to get in, you know, get across to those nations which feel USA is their most important neighbor. For example, here, look at it. Israel, USA, South Korea, sorry, Japan, South Korea, right? For that matter, Canada. We have problems with Canada. That's a different story. Italy, Poland. All these are absolutely oriented to USA. And their second choices are not definitely China. These second choices are European countries. And very few, if you see in this, second most thing, and Russia comes only in the third thing for most. Only for us, it is very high. I mean, you have to understand this in that larger framework which I'm putting, because this is what I'm going to focus on. Keep this in mind. We might talk what we want. The people of India are saying something else. Okay? This is a graph which shows China, Russia, and the US are considered as key threats. Well, threats. I'm not talking of allies. Threats. Where do we figure in this? For us, again, for us, it's China. India here is very. Why I say this you know survey is quite authentic. Very correctly, he has said Pakistan is our biggest threat. Or people have said China is our next biggest threat, and the third biggest threat is Bangladesh. Bangladesh is right. I go with them. I go with our people. So if this is the case, and USA is not our biggest enemy as we think, is there a case for us to rethink how to make this relationship work? Right? Or people have a different view, and we have a different view. Either we convince the people or people convince us, or we work for the people. That's the point I'm trying to make through this Pew survey. Then this is the number of countries which see China as the economic threat and national security threat. See where India stands. 45% of Indians feel China is their economic threat, and 46% feel it's a national security threat. This is the highest. And which are the countries which are in that league, which say that China is their threat? It is US, Canada, Italy, UK, South Korea, Indonesia, Australia, Japan, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Brazil, and Argentina. So, is there a case for us to improve our relationship with these people to tackle China? We've done that. After all, the Prime Minister has gone for Brazil. Why? Why has our Prime Minister gone to Argentina? It falls in place if you see this. Okay? And these are the countries where Russia is seen as a greater threat to national security than economy. Now we are talking of which are the countries which don't like Russia. Obviously, in this list, India doesn't figure. But generally, if you analyze this list, you see Europe doesn't like Russia. So Europe, obviously, due to the Ukraine war. So you have a conflict. How do you handle Europe, and how do you handle Russia? This survey gives a lot of insights into what's happening. Okay. Again, there are silver linings. There are silver linings because Japan and Australia are better off. Though Japan sees it as more as a national security threat because of its proximity to Japan and the Kuril Islands. And if you see the Japanese map, Vladivostok is closer to Japan, and Vladivostok is closer to Moscow. Right? So, but it gives you some indications. There are countries here which are not that antagonistic to Russia. Is there a case for us to use these countries? Or diplomacy, can it change? That's the point. Okay. There are countries who say US is their greatest threat and mostly as a threat to their economy. I'll not go into it because we don't figure in it. We don't we don't consider that US is a threat either as a national security threat or our economic threat. And I largely agree with this viewpoint. Why do I agree with this viewpoint? I agree with this viewpoint because history suggests they've never been in, US has never threatened us. And US is neither economically nor from a security perspective. There's no threat really. There are issues. Now, if there is no threat, either economically or uh, you know security wise, why is this relationship not working? Is it our expectations or what? We need to understand, right? Now, so this is what I thought I'll put across to you, that there is a perception amongst the people of India which says, we need to lean towards US, and the government is accordingly leaning towards US without any doubt. Equally, in the strategic community and people who speak in YouTube and all that feel no, US is not that great. We should be very careful. So where do we stand? What is that balance we have to get? Do we need to be balanced? Are we going imbalanced? Do we see the right? Do we see the equation between India and USA, which is at this point of time quite imbalanced? Is there a way to correct it? Correct our perceptions, because it's not great to say to everyone, right, that US is at fault. And whether you like it or not, we need the US. I mean, that's a hard reality. In today's world, you need the US. I mean, this that India's saying the two countries which matter us the most are USA and Russia. How do you manage this triangle? The Russia, US, India triangle. That's the challenge. Anyway, these are the issues I'm bringing about. And what we'll do is, either in the evening or tomorrow, tomorrow definitely with Brigadier Arun Cycle, because he's going to talk of strategic issues. And today evening also we'll talk of this troubled relationship, how to set it right. It's easy to blame each other, but we need to set this whole equation right. Okay. Now you know, connected with this is this business of Trump tariffs. It's every day you find a new thing about the Trump tariffs. It is my perception and my belief that the Trump tariffs are directed ultimately at China. There are two streams to this tariff. One is he says, look, people have taken USA for a ride for too long. We need to correct that perception and get things in balance. I completely agree with him. He has to do it. That's the way he looks at it. It doesn't matter whether he's right or wrong. That's a judgment. But he's a president. He feels that he has to do for this country. So he's taken. And it's up to us to negotiate with it. He's prepared to negotiate. I'm not a great fan of Trump, but one has to again get balance. Balance is important. The second thing is very clear. There's a clear tariff war on between US and China. A lot of people say, a lot of Americans say that look, Trump is losing the tariff war. Might be. I don't agree. I mean, I don't disagree with it. But China is not winning it. In fact, China is losing it. The way I look at it, China is losing it. If are both losing it? Maybe. I'm very happy about it. And this is what we're going to discuss. This is what I'm going to focus on. What about India and US? See, Trump has not cut deals with many people so far. He's one deal he's cut with uh, Vietnam, one deal with UK, and the third deal, if it comes through, is with India. People say one more, I don't remember which, where tariffs will go below 20% and all that. And, I believe if you see the news, our negotiators are going back to US to come to something because they left the deal there, came back. They would have had some internal discussion. They would have also had some internal discussion after a pause, and then back to some more dealing. And in the meantime, there are reports which say, "Oh, India will be slapped with a 500% tariff because we import Russian oil," things like that. I'm sure that's a red herring. We'll get around it. If we stop buying Russian oil, firstly, there's no we don't get oil from anywhere else. No one else can give you that much oil. That's the first part. The second part is that if you stop taking Russian oil, there if India stops taking Russian oil, the global oil prices will go for a toss. The supply chains will go for a toss because a lot of Russian oil comes to our refining capability, which is more than our production capability, and it goes to Europe. Will they be happy with this whole story? ये तो सोचने वाली बात है. So I don't think that much will come out of it. But it's critical that we get a deal because that will put us on a different story. Yeah, I know agriculture is a problem. That's what I've been saying. We'll see how it goes. Right? I'm very confident of it. There will come a deal because Trump also needs success. If he doesn't get one big country behind him, then his tariff war will be a failure. So far, he's got US, UK. UK is his favorite poodle. Vietnam had no choice. Okay. He needs a big country. He needs a big bloc. Now, once he does it with India, that will be a model for others to follow. Others will have their problems, but that will be a model. But let's see where the tariffs stand. It stands here. Okay. Today, well, this is the first thing which came out a week back, in which Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, Bangladesh, Serbia, Indonesia, and Bosnia Herzegovina, they all hit this barrier. I don't know how I mean I will not comment on Bosnia Herzegovina, but you look at Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. It tells you a story. Which are these countries? These are the ASEAN countries. Why are these being targeted? Because this is the thing. He is being they are being targeted. They're being targeted because they are the nesting countries for Chinese companies. So Chinese, you know, during the Biden administration, the China was allowed to diversify into other countries, and those countries send it to US. But now he's targeting that, and the tariffs put on these countries, right, are such that even Vietnam is 20%. But if there's a transshipment involved from China, it goes to 40%. So if China does transshipment also from these countries, right, any of these countries will have to come to that tariff. So if China has 35%, that's the thing. You see that whole story of 35%. Why these countries are at 35%? Because they are very heavily integrated into the Chinese economy. So China has to send something through Laos. So first that item has to go to Laos or get manufactured in Laos through Chinese thing. And then they have to pay 40% tariff. Transshipment, Diego, all that. It becomes not it is not economical. That's the logic. Okay. So the aim is China. How they will do it, I will see later. That we'll see. And these are the new tariffs. Now they've put Japan, South Korea also has come into this. Of course, Kazakhstan, Tunisia. All these countries are either, I mean, Japan and South Korea have different set of equations because they are also integrated heavily into the Chinese economy. Kazakhstan, Tunisia, and all future places. where China can migrate and put Egypt, right? All this is part of that story. These are the fresh sanctions. Today, they've said he's putting sanctions on Mexico and EU also. He's widening the trade war for whatever reason. Whether USA succeeds or not, I couldn't care a damn. But if he's widening the trade war with others, he's silent on India. He is very hopeful on India clinching a deal. If he gets, like I said earlier, if he clinches a deal with India, a lot of things will change for him. Okay. And his focus is China. Let's not get away from it. And China is suffering heavily because of that. Let's not have any doubt. This is a Chinese analysis. He says of the 10 members of ASEAN are affected, with Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Laos, and Myanmar facing tariffs from 25 to 40%. Among them, Laos and Myanmar would be subject to higher tariffs of 40%. And the added cost would render Chinese companies' mode of re exporting to the US through these countries virtually ineffective. This is something which is happening, okay? Which is so US is cognizant of this, and this thing comes from South China Morning Post. This now Chinese garment makers, you know, cut out are cut out of the US market. Now Bangladesh was also cut out. So where is the garment center shifted to India? So if the garment, center of the world is going to be India, and let's be very clear, it's happening because all the orders which Bangladesh lost to US have shifted to Tirupur or other places of India. So, but Tirupur is the biggest beneficiary so far. So Bangladesh loss is our gain, and now China is going to lose; it will be our gain. So in this kind of a setting, isn't it profitable for us and beneficial for us to have a trade deal with USA? If you want to have a trade deal with the USA, don't you think we need to have a different understanding with USA? You forget about Pakistan, and all that nonsense. Let it happen. We can handle it. Don't you think India has got a bandwidth of India is broad enough to handle these inconsistencies in this relationship? Right? Every relationship need not be built on technology alone. If you just increase the trade, the technology will come. Okay. Then the next question, which is posed by China to Chinese, is this: can cat like US tariffs chase China's manufacturing mouse out of the ASEAN maze? That's the point which I said. This of 10 countries, 6 out of 10 ASEAN countries are being tariffed to ensure that China doesn't filter goods through them. This it says like it's like a Tom and Jerry kind of a thing. Tom wants to catch Jerry, Jerry is going through different holes. So this is happening. As far as I'm concerned, this to my benefit. I mean, this to my benefit. This is a thing which came out of that article. It says whether staying in China or expanding abroad, manufacturers are facing unprecedented uncertainty. With the US policy shifting daily, no one knows what's coming. And ask any businessman. Every businessman in every nook and corner of the world will say the thing which kills a businessman is uncertainty. Right? You have to understand this. Let me give the flip side of the story. The flip side of the story is this. Long back, when I was serving, when I say long back now because it's about 10 to 12 years, it's a decade back. I used to deal with a lot of foreign, you know, suppliers. arms suppliers, because that was my job to handle them. And that time, Atmanirbharta was just taking off and all that. So a lot of people used to come and say, "So we don't mind this, that, yeah, wo, all that." But we are not certain about what you're going to do. The thing which kills us is uncertainty. So I said, yeah, this is what he's saying is logical. But I said, look, I'm not going to go bother about you. I'm going to bother about myself. I'm going to bother about the government of India. I'll do best what's for government of India. If I have to delay a project, I'll delay it. If I have to speed up a project, I'll speed it up. That's it. As simple as that. But it creates uncertainty to the other guy. The same thing was echoed by Indian defense producers also. L&T and Baba Kalyani and Tatas. Says, sir, हमें certainty दो. Will you give this order? Are you interested in this order? Are you interested to finish it in a time frame? Otherwise, we give a quote today. You open it after 10 years, and after 10 years, what's the thing? All that. So uncertainty kills people, and that's what is killing China. The Chinese businessman is hemorrhaging because of that. So I've given you this story. We'll see where the tariff war goes. But remember, it's in our interest to conclude a deal with USA. It's not in others' interest, it's in my interest that I conclude a deal with USA. It's not in our interest that USA China relations stabilize, trade relations. If that is in a flux and my relations with China, USA improve, economically I stand benefited. Okay. And if I can help USA achieve a trade deal, there will be give and take. When the trade deal is signed, there will be people who will say this should not have been done, that should have been done, that we'll discuss. But if I can achieve a trade deal with USA, okay, and I help USA or Trump to say, look, because of India, look, I have India with me. So I'll do what I have to do with China. I'll deal with China. Don't I stand to benefit? The bulk of our products, with I keep saying, talked this with Rajiv Narayanan also. The bulk of our advantage does not lie in high tech goods, services that anyway will give, but it's not low tech items, garments, zips, small things. So that is what we have to see, and we'll see how it goes. Keep an open mind on all these issues. All of you, some of you have already given your idea. This is you already given this thought process that anything to do with USA is bad. I agree with you, but keep an open mind. I will not, while agreeing with you, I disagree with you because you should never foreclose your options. And this is something which battle has taught me. Never foreclose an option. Keep your options open always. Choose an option which takes you ahead. And choosing that option, you still don't foreclose other options. That's the point. Okay, now I'm going to talk of something which, has come to me repeatedly. Even today morning, I got it in, through X. 2 days back, I got it through one of my good friends. And the thing is, why is IIT helping the Bangladesh Air Force set up teaching about drones and things like that in Lalmonirhat? And have a look at this. Everyone sends me this picture where the Aviation and Aeronautics University of Bangladesh, that Aviation and Aerospace University of Bangladesh, has an affiliation with Indian Institute of Technology. People say, why is IIT doing this? It appears as if for the uninformed people that it appears for the uninformed people that IIT is doing something with Bangladesh when Bangladesh is against us. That's the way you think. That's the way. That's what everyone has told me. So why are you doing this? Because a lot of people know that I am in IIT, and but let me put things in perspective. Let me spend 5 minutes and put it in perspective. That's why I took it up. 2 years back, nearly 2 years back now. No, not nearly, last year sometime. Uh, our ministry, the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Education, told IIT, look, there's a request from Bangladesh to set up a aerospace university for their purposes. This was when Sheikh Hasina was in power. Okay, and it's a good thing that we do something for them. And for that, they chose IIT Madras because IIT Madras has got the largest, uh, you know, aerospace department, biggest in India. So that's a very good diplomatic move, and that's a way to get people, on board with us, especially Bangladesh. And we thought everyone, and this is nothing to do with IIT. I'm sure this is what the government thought. I'm giving you my analysis. This analysis of mine has nothing to do with IIT. It has nothing to do with MEA. It has nothing to do with Bangladesh. It's a disclaimer I'm giving you. This is my analysis. Someone in Bangladesh, in MEA, would have, and government would have said, this is a good thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. Let IITs mesh. In fact, even Myanmar has come to us. Some students from Myanmar have studied in IIT, incidentally. Okay. And there a lot of people from Myanmar go to Russia to study. So someone went to Bangladesh early last year, and we did spoke. They actually have nothing. They call it aviation and aerospace engineering university and all that. They have nothing. They just want to start. So we spoke to them. Someone went, one of our professors went, spoke to them, came back, and gave out their report to the MEA. And things probably would have, some talk was there. We knew they had nothing. Some talk was there. Okay, can we start a course or something? They don't have faculty. They don't have labs. Nothing. We had to handhold them and take them. There's something like what we did for Tanzania. Tanzania, we set up a institute there, overseas, and we're looking at Sri Lanka. We're looking at Abu Dhabi, Gulf, and all, where IIT will have a outsourced institute. I won't say outsourced, IIT in those places, where our professors will get posted and do whatever they have to do. We were looking at something similar to that. Okay, that's when Sheikh Hasina was thrown out, and this fellow Yunark has come in. So now, after that has come in, all contacts with them have frozen. Zero. But that university has kept this alive. It appears. I've not even seen their website. They have shown it as part of their affiliation. Lal Monirhat. This university is being set up where? In Lal Monirhat. So they've shown it in their website. I can't stop him from showing IIT Madras in his website, can I? Okay. So that is how it is. That's how it stands. If Bangladesh wants IIT to go back there, it has to do a lot of course correction. No one from IIT Madras will go to Bangladesh. I can assure you this. Okay, we have no interest. I don't think people are foolish to do all this nonsense, and we can't do. Incidentally, we have there are bounds. Anything, after all, IIT is a government institution, so there's no way. So I'd like to clarify to everyone who's watching this. I'll put it on a small clip. IIT Madras at this point of time has got very little to do with that outfit at Lal Munir Ghat. And especially if Pakistanis are going to build things there and Chinese are going to come and do whatever they want to do there along with the Bangladeshis. Do you think IIT Madras is a foolish institute to go there? Forget it. So don't fall for this nonsense. Please don't fall for this thing which is going in social media. And I would like you to put this clip out to everyone. I'll make a clip out of this and put it out immediately after thing, and that's how it is. So, right, that's all I have to say today. I'll take a few questions and then go. Yeah, SKJ, Tanzania was always safer compared to Bangladesh. Yeah, I agree with you. Right, we know that, but at that point of time with Sheikh Hasina there, it made good sense to have an equation with them. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. In Indian context, to analyze further division is needed, like intent capability of enemies. Yeah, I agree with you. Let me take first Karthikeyan and Srinivasan. Thanks for becoming a YouTube member. I'll get back to you. Yesterday, it almost brought me to tears when you said, when you wore uniform, you wore it with pride and no one could touch you. And when you wear civilian clothes today, you also wear them with the same. Yeah, I agree with you. Thanks a lot, Sylvia. But that's my sentiment. And that's the sentiment of any person of any country. That's what I expect. If you are an American, you stand by America. If you are a Colombian, you stand by Colombia. And I appreciate the fact that many Pakistanis stand by their country, and need to recognize because it's their country. Every Pakistan might be our enemy country, but you have to respect that Pakistani who stands for his own country. That's important. Okay, that's a thing which in the army I have learned. It's very important. Respect the other man's feeling, understand what he says. Right. Uh, yeah, trouble is mostly from US side as they're not trustworthy. They keep taking sides with parties they create that are creating human suffering. They favor them because it's beneficial. That's there. That is, we also do. Please understand, we also do that. Trust has to be built up. Okay. We also do that. I am not for one moment, please understand, for USA. I'm not speaking on behalf of USA, but please understand they will do what is best in their interest. We have to do what is best in our interest, and we need to find a via media or some modicum of trust. You don't trust the US, you don't trust the Russia. Even if you trust the Russians can't do more than a limit. They're very limited. You can't trust Chinese, you can't trust Pakistanis. Whom do you trust? You trust Israel. Israel is a tiny country. It can't help you beyond a point. Whom do you trust? France. Whom do you think they have the capability to absorb Indian requirements? Sorry. So the two big countries, really speaking, where India has to make headway if you have to grow economically, are actually China and USA. Economically, these are the big markets. These are the big players. Through three big nations with the largest population is China, India, and USA. With one you can't do anything, so at least do with the other. The rest of the countries in the world won't make up for these two countries. That fundamental many people seem to be missing. Okay. Yeah, what do you mean by guard your privacy? I don't know what you're talking of, but Karthikeyan, I saw your mail. You given a mail to say that my cartoons are okay, but I should make video for 3 to 5 minutes. That's not my DNA. Let me be very honest. That's not my DNA. And I've taken feedback from many of you who feel that my long videos are better than the short videos. If there is anyone who feels that my long videos are not worth it, just let me know. But uh, I also feel that the younger generation who want this 5 minute or 10 minute videos, uh, they'll regret it later in life. they'll regret it later in life. Because if you don't do the long form today, right, uh, in your formative years when you are young, tomorrow what will you do? Let me go back. In my own time, when I was young, we didn't have internet, we didn't have anything. It had to be books, it had to be journals, which was very far and few in between. We used to read the whole night in these books. A lot of novels taught us. Novels taught us culture. Novels taught us, what was happening in that society. There's no other way of knowing that society. Books taught us. Books like even James Hadley Chase, authors like James Hadley Chase, who talk largely of crime thrillers in USA, taught us about that. Or they taught us about, you take John Le Carre. He taught us about the Cold War. They were novels. Or for that matter, Alistair MacLean, who gave us the idea of the, Second World War scenario or the environment, the war's environment. So you have to read. We read and learned. I mean, you'll be surprised. I've read Hitler's Mein Kampf. There's a lot of logic in the Mein Kampf. That's why it motivated a nation. There are a lot of other things. That's a different story. You read Das Kapital. You'll know. You'll learn. So I am not of the view that I should do 3 minute, 5 minute videos. Firstly, I'm incapable of doing it. I can only do this. I do this for more of a hobby. I don't need money. I don't need anything. Whatever money gives goes to someone else. Okay. The I do it to spread awareness. I do it fundamentally because our country is growing. Our young people should know the fundamentals. And unless they have the patience to learn, you'll go nowhere. Okay? Right. Hans, good morning. Then let me say Sai Vision also good morning. Rohit also good morning. Right. Yeah, USA is plagued by so many calamities throughout the year. How do they sustain it? Well, that's their job. Don't we sustain our calamities? So they sustain. It's a huge country with a lot of resources. And the Midwest, US, is always calamity prone throughout history. And for that matter, even China. China is even worse. Yeah, good morning. Rohan, Neil also good morning. Uh, yeah, Suhas Gowda, good morning. And SH also good morning. Right. Remember Kissinger who said to be a friend of USA isn't good and to be an enemy is more. No, I look. I don't have much value for Kissinger. That fellow was had his own ideas. Okay, and to me, if there was one person whom I can put my finger on who spoiled the India-US dynamic, it was Kissinger. He was pro-Pakistan. As simple as that. Yogesh, thanks a lot for your thing about liking and subscribing. So if you like or Gunner Shot, please subscribe to this channel also and press that thing. Again, very funny. I mean, it was actually gets me to think and laugh, introspect and laugh. When I see, yesterday subscription was -2. I said, look, where are we going? So there's something happening. I'll go through it and then we'll see. Okay. What does Ashish say? Sir, India US relations is difficult because they want us as a silent partner, whereas we are thinking strategic autonomy. So, as all generals say, it can only be transactional. Yeah, I agree with you, but there's a limit to transactionality. Beyond that, we have to be very clear. And I think they also don't have a choice. We also don't have a choice. I think that's the way it is. Let's see how it plays out. And our relationship will always be difficult because we are two different countries, huge countries with different ideas. And they also know that we will not be a silent partner. We will not be a silent partner. They also know that. I've had interacted. You see, unlike many of you, I've interacted with some of the top government officials. Not now, when I was in service. I've been to where I have to go. I'll not say so. I've had a case where one of their CEOs, the top CEOs, when after I finished a deal, I dealt with him very firmly. Uh, the only thing I gave him when he came to my office was a cup of coffee and biscuits. That's it, Mary biscuits, and nothing more. No other dealing. And I dealt with him and achieved quite a bit. And a lot of discussion. This was dealing over 2 years, and things finished. After that, 2 years after I retired, I get a call one day from one of his staff. Look, he says, look, this gentleman is coming to Delhi. He wants to meet you. I'm not in Delhi. I'm in Chennai, and I'm not going to come there. I have a different agenda in life. He says, no, no, no. He'll come to Chennai, and he wants to have dinner with you. I said, fine, welcome. So he came. He came to Delhi on the morning. One morning, he caught a flight from morning, afternoon, yeah, evening flight he caught from Delhi. Came to Chennai. Both of us had dinner. Next day morning, he left. Okay, he's one of the top guys. And to be very honest, I couldn't afford that dinner on my own. For him, it was peanuts. But that's a different story. But what I'm trying to say is they understand our things. And I used to argue with them on many issues, stand firm. But they respect us also for that. Understand that. Yeah. So a great Sunday. This is a much awaited topic. Expecting your view on this. I follow a few Indian channels, even P Gurus, but I felt they respect more Republican views. Your views help us to get clarity. Yeah, you need to be balanced. You need to be balanced. We need to understand that our people are still poor. We need to develop them. India will develop only when the poorest Indian, is comfortable. We are far away from that. If you can't go with anyone, you have to go with someone, right? And we need to have a socialistic outlook in India for the simple reason we don't have a choice. When 10 years, 15 years, 12 years back, when BJP came to power for the first time, I'm talking of 2014, everyone said, oh, Mr. Modi will come, he'll do this, he'll do that, businesses will flourish, all this will happen, all that happened. That didn't happen. What did Modi Saab do? He built toilets. He gave free gas connections. Today, people are talk of that still. Subsidies, Jan Dhan. These are all socialistic ideas. This is what the Communist Party of China did at some time back. I mean, they never did it in this manner, but they did their own tricks. Do you go back to the Soviet Russia? That's what they did. Even today, or railways, for second class common, general thing, runs at a loss. Railways fare is at a loss even today. It's socialistic in nature. Our country will remain socialistic in nature for the next 100 years. You take it from me. All of you can tell your children and grandchildren. It will not change. Does anyone feel that India is a top ally and threat? Yeah, this is something which we'll have to check out, Srinivas, because that article is more US oriented, right? And As far as threat is concerned, I'm sure Pakistan will say we are a threat. Even China will say we are a threat. Bangladesh will say we are a threat. Even Sri Lanka will say we are a threat. As far as top ally goes, yeah, Bhutan will say. I'm sure Nepal also will say. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And somewhere down the line will be Sri Lanka and Maldives. Afghanistan will be happy with us, right? The problem for us is only Pakistan. Sir, desperate deep state is already cultivating assets in India, such as Prashant Kishore, and will look forward to control India through them. Raga is also a compromise candidate. Oh well, in India, this will happen. Don't think there's deep state. Don't think there's no deep state in India. We'll control them. Don't worry. Okay. And when a lot of people talk against one against each other and all that, they'll cancel each other. And also remember, many people in India today say if there's anyone who talks against the government, he is part of the deep state and he's anti-Indian. That's wrong. That's not correct. We are a democracy. People have different viewpoints. People have different platforms on which to stand and talk of that. We should have that bandwidth to allow them to speak. That's important. So don't state every one of these people as someone who's anti-Indian. Okay. What if tomorrow BJP is compromised? Let me ask you this question. And do you think BJP can't be compromised? Who said so? So India needs to keep its options open. And Indian people are smart enough to keep their options open. Don't worry. Yeah, hope you had a good breakfast. No, not as yet. I normally have breakfast after the event. So who's making your thumbnails? I make my thumbnails. I'm a one-man show on this. I don't allow anyone to make thumbnails. I make it on my own. What's the sample size and who are the people interviewed research? Karthikeyan, have a look at the Pew website. It's there. We Indians are so naive not to consider China as the highest threat, probably lack of. Yeah, maybe Dinesh. You see, that's the point. Why do you think I started this gunner shot? Why do you think I did all this? Because why do you think I focus so much on China? Because people have to understand China. Unless people don't understand China and the threat it poses to you, we'll never be successful. That's why. Yeah, if our geopolitical thought needs to transgress to populace, it means that education should read. That's precisely what I'm doing, Ramki. That is why I want people to subscribe to me. Because our geopolitical thought has to radiate. And I'm these days for the past 15 days, I'm quite upset about it to some extent. That's not happening. The views have gone down, subscription has gone down. So help all of you to ask your friends to join in. Yeah. Is it possible that these surveys in the context of India were done with an agenda? Why should it do with an agenda? If you see that survey, it is for every country. I told you in the beginning itself, it's been done with the agenda for USA probably. But at the same day, if that is done with the US agenda, it is harming themselves. So, don't seek agendas where they don't exist. Balance. You should not, see everything through colored glasses. You should be thinking. You see this, read it, analyze it, and see if it is so or not. Surprising view: US and China are the most selfish of all. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. But these are the views which have come out. This is what people talk. It might be wrong, but you can infer a lot of things with some sense. I wonder how much these numbers will change after tariff war. A lot of Europeans, Japanese, Australians are not happy with the tariff. Yeah, let's see. It might change. He'll take do another research and he'll do another thing and then we'll see. Russia is a better choice. I agree with you, but Russia has got great limitations. Its economy is not big. I mean, we are okay with Russia, but not others are. Yeah, in 1971, the US sent warships to the Bay of Bengal to fight against us, right? Yes, the Seventh Fleet, which is based in on Hawaii, they moved into the Bay of Bengal with USS Enterprise. I remember there was a lot of panic. I wouldn't say, yeah, it was panic to a large extent and concern in Chennai because Chennai is a major city. What if they came and hit Chennai as we were hitting Dhaka? And you're talking of Chennai, still is a major city. Everyone talks of Bangalore and all that. Chennai is your major hub. Bombay, Chennai, Calcutta, Delhi are still your major hubs. Industry, port, oil, dockyards. Bangalore is only tech, high tech. What I would say, IT, info tech and things like that, software. But Chennai is a huge industrial base. It's a Detroit of India. At that time also it was, incidentally. Even then, 71, Ashok Leyland factory, Royal Enfield, Bullet, okay, Herald was there earlier, those days. Three more automobile factories used to be here. We had an oil refinery here. We had a power plant here, Kalpakam. So Chennai is huge. People underestimate this thing. And I once was traveling with a youngster in a flight from here to Hyderabad. And he was from Hyderabad. He says, "Sir, I've been in Chennai. People don't understand what Chennai is. Most of us in India underestimate Chennai. That's how it is." Okay, anyway, that's a different story. So they did come, and the Russians also landed up here, and things quietened down because by then Dhaka had fallen. America is a threat to our civilization. Look, you ask an American, he might feel the Indian is a threat to his civilization. If you go to USA, the flip might be right. Don't You have to see both sides of the equation. Why do we as Indians believe or expect anything from the US? Is it due to naughty press painting a biased picture of the greatness of US? Look, I'm not I don't believe or expect anything from the US. I need a deal with them. One to one deal. As simple as that. We need to understand it's a developed country, it's a rich country. It controls a lot of things. Okay? It's got the reserve currency of the world. You can't get away from that. Bare facts. I need a deal with them. If the deal is good for me, I'll take it. If it's not good for me, I don't take it. That's the way I look at it. What people perceive is different from the reality. So, do these things really matter? The top brass know the reality. It is their duty to do good for the nation and they will do so. I don't agree with you, Lofi. I'll tell you why. If people perceive the reality as different and the people at the top do what they want, deal with USA, and tomorrow they allow GM seeds to come into India from America, day after tomorrow they'll be voted out of power. Period. That's why most important, you should know what's the sentiment of people on ground. The top brass doesn't matter. The top brass has to go with the wishes of the people. Otherwise, the people will go. I mean, the top brass will go. This is what happened to Mr. Vajpayee. Shining India, 2004. India felt it was not shining, they threw him out. Chandrababu Naidu, Telugu Desam. He did so much for Hyderabad, Cyberabad, AO, and all that. Next election, he was thrown out. The people know more. Okay, that is why this uh, survey, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, I give value. Yeah, please provide the link of the survey in the clip. Go to Pew, type that heading out, and you get it. Yeah, why does not Indian government stop giving visa to American missionaries to reduce Christian conversion and indirect interference to our domestic policies? Yeah, interesting. You know why? The missionaries who are doing that conversion there are not American. The missionaries who do conversion in Northeast are Malayalis and Tamilian. The South Indian church is very prominent there. And these missionaries get money from American evangelical societies. That's the way. It's not America. It's not visa is not the thing. These get funding, and this funding they get from, you can't stop funding. Religious funding is fundamental in India. It's not only funding of temples. It's also funding of temples get funds, uh, mosques get funds, gurdwaras gets funds. Um, so do churches. Okay, so this is not so simple. Yeah, I will sound a cautionary note. Many of these countries surveyed are dictatorships or semi-dictatorships, so the views of the public in these countries in the survey. I don't think you're right. Have a look at the countries. Europe doesn't have dictatorships. Europe has a lot of democracies. Indonesia is not a dictatorship. So I think, that's why I said we have a lot of biases within. You must get rid of your biases. Okay? Our relation can't be bad. We have a huge diaspora out there. I agree with you completely. I admire and I live in US and admire the American people a lot. They are some of the most friendliest people. But the US foreign policy is the opposite end, and that's part of the deal. That's what we have to deal with. How is tariff helping the US? It's very simple. The item comes into US with a tariff. The tariff goes to the US government, right? The cost of that item plus the tariff goes to the consumer. The consumer has to pay for the tariff also. But the tariff part of that, whatever you pay, look, you go and buy from any market. Let's say you buy a phone. Okay, this phone costs 100 rupees, and the tariff on this is 25%. So 25% goes to the government of USA. They get it, right? 75% goes to the guy who's got this phone into USA, right? Okay. Now, as per Trump thing, he is very smart. He is told, you do what you want, you pay my tariff, but he's left it to the consumer. If this is 100 rupees, earlier also it was 100 rupees, today it's 100 rupees, I don't mind. I'll pay 100 and take it. Because earlier the tariff was only 5%. Government got 5%, and the producer got 95%. But today it is 25% and 75% there. The chap who's manufacturing has to pay for it. That is what the story is. That is why China is getting stuck. Yeah. Do you think 35% of tariffs on Bangladesh is going to be revised by US? Sorry, I know you're from Bangladesh. It will not be done. For the simple reason your input is from China. You guys have fought with India, where you are getting tariffs from India. Even now, if you want to revive your whole story, you have to partner with India. You have no choice if you want to reduce tariffs. Then we can source from Bangladesh and give it to USA. And people in Bangladesh spoke big. Even now, Bangladesh is running to China. China will give you nothing. Be rest assured. How can we build a lasting institutional relationship with US? I notice how your own past has seemingly shaped lifelong US skepticism. Many Indians feel the same way. Is it time for a US guest? I don't need a US guest. I am very skeptic about USA because I understand. But equally, I've done deals with USA. I've done billion-dollar deals with USA. The number of deals I've put through with USA is about $8 to $10 billion for the government of India, of course, not my own. So you need, I will be skeptical about him, but I need to make him deliver. And that's what happens. My skepticism enables me to deal with it. Forget about him. Why should I get a US chap to talk of it? Yeah, I had asked you on Lal Monir Hart. Yeah, no, but it was during. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Daniel, is anybody getting sleepy? Because I sure hell am. Go to sleep. Enjoy yourself. Yeah, are we discounting Turkey as one of our threats as they can use Islamic influence to turn people against internal security? How can such threats be? Turkey, yes, we have to start thinking of Turkey differently. There's no doubt about it, and I'm sure we will. I'll leave it at that at this point of time, right? Because there's a lot of Turkic influence in, uh, you know, in our country, especially South India. A lot of Turkic influence. People don't understand it. Bangladesh is trying to get good reputation by using an Indian institution. That's validation. Yeah, I agree with you. That's what they were trying. Excellent analysis. In Indian context, to analyze further division is needed, like intent and capability of yeah, we'll do that. The pure research analysis is more confusing than an astrological analysis with data shown here. They'll show what they want. You pick what you want. We today around 300 viewers. Thank God. Otherwise, they were going down. Maybe I'm repeating, but after watching yesterday night's Northeast show, one question is bothering me: why Indian government is still issuing visa to? They're not giving. Please understand. That's what I told you earlier. Yeah, Jalal Haidar. This bugger is from Bangladesh. The major is also cartoon. Why not? I can be a cartoon. But you're not a cartoon. You're a living fool. Yeah. What would the fallout from a potential collapse of Putin regime? Will our defense equipment dependency be hit? Should we shift? No, it will not happen. Even if Putin goes, someone will come. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. I'm glad Jalal Haidar. I think Jalal Haidar must be from Bangladesh or Pakistan. E- Either of you, don't worry. Akash might be with. We might sell Akash to Uganda, or it might fail in Brazil. But one place, two places, it will not fail. It will not fail against Bangladesh. It will not fail against Pakistan. Let's be very clear. Okay. Yeah, long videos are in-depth analysis. Short videos are fully not thing. I go with you. Hmm. Are there chances of the US splitting up? No, they won't. Let's be very clear, they won't. Yeah, this is important. Anyone can have your opinion, but respect is must. But I don't mind, Pakistanis. Their blood asses of the highest order, so they'll come. Like this fellow, I think we should put him out. I'll ban him. End of story. Yeah. Yeah, US is active in Bangladesh to counter China's influence in Myanmar. So how does Muhammad Yunus maintain good relations with both China? I don't know. Ask that fellow. He's an idiot. How do I know how he's going to handle his country? He's already spoiled this whole country. Labor availability in US and spending patterns are the big problems. Yeah, we'll do it. One of these days I'll talk of it. Yeah, agree on socialism till our per capita. Yeah, I agree with you. I see your subscription count as 66K. Look, but that was some time back. After that, it has just stagnated. That's the thing. Yeah, I think we'll Ramanujam. Have you forgotten the BJP is tethered and supported by a great organization called RSS? Sometimes intellectuals like you have an idea that BJP is also part. Oh, well, let me put it to you, Ramanujam. I know RSS also very well. I've dealt with them, I've handled them. In the course of our life, when you especially go into CI ops and all, you deal with all of this. So we don't, I mean, we know who's who. I might not talk, but I know. Again, they are not my enemies. If our country has thrown up an organization like this and it has got so many people in that, there must be something good in it. Take that. Let's see what's best for our nation and don't look at, ghosts where they don't exist. Sir, given the end of Bonhomie, what course do we have to? We have but to develop our own effort. We have no other course. We have to do everything on our own. There's no doubt. Yeah, in future, USA will be our main threat, whether you like it or not. I am not going to talk of it. The people think so. That's what I said. What we are going to talk will be today evening and tomorrow. That's a different story. Yeah, the top brass know reality, they know the least. I agree with you. It's the people. People matter most. Krishnamurti. There have been two presidents from Tamil Nadu, R. Venkatraman, two terms, Dr. Abdul Kalam, one. You could have already added Radhakrishnan, who was from Chennai and BB. Yeah, I agree. Right? Prakirti. So, this is related. Yeah, what will be the long-term and short-term strategy to integrate Northeast more into Indian social? And it's already happening. Don't worry. It's an incremental process from what I went first to the Northeast to what it is now. Completely two different countries, different states. I went last just about 2 months back. I went to Shillong. Spent 2 days there. Shillong is completely different from what I first went. So don't worry. We have a thing in place, and most importantly, the people want to integrate. The people are now more. Don't worry. Yeah. Okay. I think we've done for the day. We'll join in today. Today evening, I'll do with on P Gurus with General Narayanan and also General Dushyant. We'll meet at 8:30 in the evening. Till then, have a great day and enjoy yourselves. And thanks for joining in today. If you like this video, give it to everyone, send it to your friends, and also join Ghana Shot. Thank you. Good evening, good morning, and Jai Hind. Have a great Sunday.